everyone, Thomas here and welcome back to another video. So today we're back here for another mansion build, and today we're going to go ahead and create this Windenburg farm estate. So if you'd like to go ahead and download this for yourself, it is up on the gallery now. My origin ID is real ThomasTV1. So as I said, this is actually like a mansion build as it is a Sunday. If you don't know, every Sunday here we do a mansion build on my channel. Now I know this technically isn't a mansion build because this build has lots of little parts to it, and they're all kind of separate things, which I'll mention in a minute. And it's got this house here which we're building first, like the farmhouse. Now, you know, when you think of that, that isn't a mansion, but the lot size itself is a 64 by 64. That's why I'm posting this on a Sunday as part of, like, you know, my mansion builds. I also have a mansion builds playlist, by the way, if you want to check out all of them that I do, because like I say, I do them every Sunday, and sometimes I do bonus ones on Fridays as well. So I'm really happy how this build turned out, actually. So it came in at 271,670 simoleons, and it has 7 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms in like the farmhouse bit. And then in terms of what packs are used, isn't actually too much considering how big this lot is. There are a few more expansions in general, but the kind of general pack list overall isn't that big. So for the expansions, I use Seasons, Cats and Dogs, City Living and Get Together. And then for the game packs, I use Jungle Adventure and Parenthood. And for the stuff packs, I use Laundry Day and Spooky Stuff. And I don't know if I mentioned, but this is built in Windenburg on the 64 by 64 lot. That's more in the countryside, not the one on the island. But of course, feel free to place this wherever you want. I suppose it could look okay in Brilliant Bay. I suppose maybe slightly out of place, but it could still work there if you really wanted to. And yeah, so this build, like I was just saying before, I'm really happy how it turned out. And actually, it only took me just about 2 hours to do, which is no time at all. And you know, it is a big lot, but this actually happens a lot of the time when I do builds like this, where it's, you know, a big lot, but there's not a lot really going on with it, if that makes sense. So we'll have the house here, but really it's only like a 40 by 30 house, I would say. Would it be a 40 by 30? Maybe something like that. I think when looking at it, I would place that on a 40 by 30 lot. I haven't really counted how many tiles that house is, but looking at it from there, I'll maybe say that. So when you think of it like that, and then most of the lot is landscaping, and most of the lot as well with that landscaping is just fields of like lines with like an odd couple of plants here and there. So really, the most filling part of the build, if that makes sense, it isn't that much work really. So that's why the build didn't take that long. And seeing, you know, it's not a lot of work, it's still something I'm really proud of this build as well. So I actually did something similar to this last year, Amber Fall Farm, I think, and on the same lot I think it was, and actually I'm pretty sure it was like this month as well. I think it was like October last year. So it's just, as you know, I love autumn, so I just wanted to do like a really autumn themed build, and I thought what better than to do a really autumn themed farm with lots of trees and landscaping with all the autumn colours, and also a little pumpkin patch as well at the front, because I don't use Spooky Stuff that often. Really, I probably haven't used that pack in way over a year. I mean, did I even do a Halloween build last year? I can't even remember, because to be honest, I'm not really that much of a fan of Halloween. I used to be when I was little, but not really anymore, and I think that's kind of comes into The Sims as well, and that I don't really play with Halloween, like the pack, the Spooky Stuff pack or anything. So that's probably why I don't really use that pack that often. And especially I try not to use unnecessary packs as well. So I wouldn't really want to use that pack, you know, during the year. It does have a nice like a nice wood flooring from that pack though. That's the only issue, and it's really frustrating because, as you know, I do like to, like I was just saying, reduce packs where I can. So if I'm just going to use one item for one pack, I'll try not to bother, because if there's another item that I could use instead that I really like, then I'll just use that instead, because, you know, if you look on the gallery and there's one less pack, it can make a difference to some people. So I do try to reduce packs where I can. But today I was going to use Spooky Stuff because I really wanted to do a little pumpkin patch area. I didn't want to make this like a huge like pumpkin farm or anything, but I just wanted to have a little area at the front. And to be honest, I didn't even plan on that to start with. I just thought I'd do like a kind of just an autumn themed farm. And as you can see, actually, we're all built in this in summer to begin with. I did say this in the last couple of builds I've done, where I've done it in a different seat, like in autumn builds and stuff. But I do much prefer to do seasonal builds. Did I just say seasonal? I think I did. Seasonal builds in summer, because you can see like the true colours of the landscaping, and there's no kind of, you know, well, just generally no seasonal effects on everything. So it's really easy to see everything how it is actually going to be. And the other bonus to that as well is that if you want to play this build in another season, because, you know, you're only going to have this build to play in autumn for however long you have it set to in your game, so it can still be used, you know, in summer and other months as well. So that's why I build them in summer, just so I can see everything clearly. And then for the screenshots and everything at the end, I did go ahead and change it to autumn. Now, the only thing that's a little bit disappointing with autumn in this in The Sims 4 is sometimes, and it doesn't happen all the time, I just noticed it here, and actually I remember this happening with last year as well, and I don't know if it's just the size of the lot or something to do with that, but, or maybe see from the world, because I know the seasonal effects are different per world, but when I went out to take the screenshots, everything is so dull in autumn. Like, you may have noticed it from the thumbnail, but I'd had to bump up the brightness and the vibrance and everything so much for the thumbnail to do. It was ridiculous, and I knew that, I had like an inkling that that was going to happen, and I was like so like annoyed at myself that I was going to make this an autumn build, because afterwards I was like, you know what, this would have been so nice as just a summer build, because like just, you know, in general, just like in the summer season of the game, because all the colours and everything look really nice, and then when I changed it to autumn and everything, you know, it still looks great, but all the colours for like a thumbnail point of view isn't that great, so that was a little bit frustrating, but I'm still really happy how this build turned out, and there's just lots going on as well, and you know, like I was saying before, about it being in autumn, I really love autumn in real life, so it was a really good opportunity to do a build that I really love today, but also I really love landscaping in the game as well, as you probably know, so this also gave me an opportunity to go a little bit crazy on landscaping and focus a little bit more on that than other things within the build, and you know, of course I had to focus on furnishing as well within this house part, but landscaping did take a bigger part within this build than, you know, a regular house would maybe, because there's a lot more landscaping parts to this build than normal, so that was really great. So I have another couple of things to talk about the build, but I also have some other things to talk about today as well, because this voiceover is slightly on the longer side. As you know, I do try to keep my videos around 15 minutes, but I'm just really happy with this build, and also for once today I do have a couple of other things to talk about, which is, you know, different for me, because I always just end up talking about the build for the full video, because there's nothing really that interesting going on to talk about, so don't worry if you're going to like click off this build in a minute because you're sick of my voice already, because I do have some other things to talk about, but just a few more things about the build if you want to hear some more details. So I didn't really have much of a plan going into this build. I kind of had a few ideas in terms of wanting like the farmhouse on like a hill, and then also want like a barn area, and then also maybe like a garage and like a long driveway kind of going through the build, like kind of on like a, I don't know, like a wavy sort of driveway, I guess is the best way to describe it, and kind of connecting all the different areas together, like with like a big sort of roundabout area in the middle, I guess. So that's kind of all I had in plan for like the ideas of the build, and also, you know, a few fields here and there, I guess you could call them fields, like farm areas, kind of scattered around, like not just like one big one, and just to divide up the space a bit. And then the pumpkin thing, as I was saying before, I didn't originally have that planned in, I just had a bit of extra space at the front, so I thought I'd go ahead and include that in, and it fits well nicely with the autumn theme as well, and makes it a bit more autumn themed than me just, you know, building a farm in summer and then changing the season to autumn to take the screenshots in, if you know what I mean. So I did that. And the field area which is closest to the house, like on the right hand side of the lot, I kind of wanted that to sort of kind of curve down in a way from like the hill, and in a way, I don't know if you saw me do that at the start, like with the terrain panes of like the grass, and I was trying to make like a curved one in a way to kind of come down with like the flow of the hill, if that makes sense. I don't know, I was just trying to make something a little bit more interesting, but it wasn't really working out. And also, if you're wondering about how I did the train thing, I literally just put the grid on for the train, got a like 1x1 tile, I think it was, in terms of the size of the actual tool, and then just changed the grass colour to I think a lighter colour, and then just did strips, and that's all I did, just to kind of make it look, you know, like a field in a way. And I didn't include much footage of me doing that because it is fairly repetitive, and it's also really simple as well, so that's how you do it if you're wanting to see how you actually do it in terms of, like, if you didn't know. But I also have, like I said, you know, the Amber Fall farm build, and I do have a couple of other builds where I've done that similar sort of like a farm theme where I've done that before as well, if you want to check those out. So we're now just working on the farmhouse bit, and like I said, there is 7 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms in here. Now, the kind of actual house isn't that different from normal. Now, this was kind of something I was mentioned before, but I forgot to, is that I kind of felt a little bit sort of less guilty in a way doing this type of build, because as I was saying in the last couple of builds where I do kind of family homes, I sometimes have a little bit of guilt when it comes to doing one, because as you know, I do a lot of them, and they're all really, like, they're just my favourite type of builds to do, and I love doing them, and I get the most enjoyment out of doing, you know, traditional suburban kind of family home styles of builds. So you know, when I do them so often, although I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of building them, I also feel slightly guilty for putting out similar content a lot. So when it comes to doing a build like this, I can still do, you know, a house where it is the kind of style that I love to do, but for being like a farm, like it is today, just an example with all these other things going on, it kind of takes away from that guilt a little bit, so I don't feel, you know, as guilty building this. So just a little thing for me there, so, you know, I'm kind of happy about that. Anyway, so the farmhouse, you know, it's very kind of brown inside, and I had somebody comment on this a few days ago in one of my other autumn builds about how brown it was. But I just think that brown is just a very autumnal colour. I just think it looks really nice for autumn. So I do a lot of other builds which have a lot of white trims and creamy colours on the interior, neutral colours on the brighter side. So, you know, I just wanted to do that too. Switch things up and go more autumn, and since I'm changing the season to take the screenshots in of the build and stuff, I might as well, you know, really change it up in terms of the colour swatches of the interior too. So that's why I make things very brown when it comes to, you know, the interiors of autumnal builds. But there are a few other bedrooms here and there which do have slightly different colour swatches. As you know, I do a lot of purple rooms, just as another kind of different colour swatch, but I think purple works well. I think there is like an orangey red colour as well, if I'm not mistaken as well. I think there is, and also a kids room too. So another thing I was going to kind of talk about rooms and colours is that I'm actually going to be repainting my room soon. So I'm hoping to get it done before Christmas. I'm actually hoping to get it done before Halloween, which is, I know, is really close, but I'm been like the last week or so I've been going for different tester pots of paint and stuff, and got a few colour swatches on my walls, and I'm just kind of deciding what to do. Now, if you've seen any of my face cam videos before, you will have seen that my walls are actually blue at the minute. So I have cream carpet, and then I have kind of, I don't really know what kind of colour you would describe it as, but it is Dulux paint, and I think the tone of it is like no, it's not baby blue, what is it called? It's something along those lines. It's not like a babyish colour though, it's just got a really funny name. Anyway, so I've had that colour for a long time, and I just really wanted to change, because also along with the blue I have red kind of accents. So I have like red curtains, I have bits of red within my bedding, and also have a red rug as well. So I really love the red, and I wanted to do something different but also keep the red, because red is one of my favourite colours, and it also means that I don't have to change my curtains and my rug and stuff when I come to decorate, which would make things a little bit easier, less expensive. So what my idea was to go for grey walls and keep the red accents. So that was my idea for that. So I'm hoping that my experience of building in The Sims is going to help me with this out a little bit, and I actually think it has, because I've just been pairing things together really nicely, and I think it has been working out well from my experience with The Sims, so I'm glad about that. So I also need to get a few new artwork, because I do have one which you wouldn't have seen from my facecam videos. You may have seen it if you've seen my desk tour from a few years ago, because it's like behind my desk, this particular painting. It's like a city skyline type of painting. Well, it's not a painting, it's just a photo. So I've got that like on a canvas, so I can keep that, but the other ones still have some blue in it, which I don't think is going to go that well. So I've also got a few more paintings to get. Actually, these ones that we're putting on the wall right now in this bedroom from the cats and dogs, something like that would actually look pretty nice, I think. So maybe something like that, maybe. So I don't know. I'm just kind of got a load of different ideas going on at the minute. And I also want to change my carpet to a grey colour as well, but nothing too dark, maybe just a light grey colour. And also I do have this, I don't know if you call it different in other countries, but in the UK I think at least we do call it like a dado rail, which is kind of like in the middle of the wall, this kind of like white bar that kind of goes around the wall, and it kind of just separates it off a bit. They're not like anything to do with the structure of the build or anything, it's just for decoration, I suppose, but it's not really that easy to remove them, so I'm going to keep them on. But with that dado rail thing, I don't actually mean skirting boards or anything, like not at the top or the bottom of the walls, it's like literally in the middle. You've probably seen them before, but anyway, so they're not that easy to remove, so there is an option to kind of work around it. You know, of course you could paint the whole wall the same colour above it and below it, or do a two-tone effect. So I was thinking about doing that, so maybe like a dark grey on the bottom and then a lighter grey above, so I've got that idea, or doing kind of like a sort of like a lighter grey throughout the whole room, and then behind my desk doing a darker, just like a whole wall which is slightly darker, like as a feature wall, as I also do that a lot in The Sims as well. So that was an idea I had. You can kind of see it in this purple room here, and I don't know, so that's kind of my thoughts at the minute. I just got a lot of like different ideas, and I've just got to kind of think of what ones I would finalise, because I've still got to order the carpet and stuff as well. So yeah, I've got a lot of different things going on, but I'm thinking grey and red is a nice colour swatch, and it's a bit different as well, so that's my ideas. And I know it's like all this that I've been explaining is kind of a little bit maybe difficult to understand because I can't actually show you it, so hopefully I haven't been just rambling for 5 minutes there and kind of just wasted all that time without it really making much sense, but hopefully I did. Anyway, so another really exciting thing that happened actually whilst I was building this build, if you're wondering why you're seeing a lot of different notifications popping up more than normal, is that I actually got it my 10th Max's favourite whilst I was building this build on the Modern Island mansion I did last Sunday. So That is so crazy to think that I have 10 Max's favourites. So I did get that the other day, which was... I'm just still in shock really to have 10, so thank you so much to The Sims for that. So my notifications was slightly blown up a little bit as I was recording this. I did do a little of like the tedious things off screen, like, you know, choosing out the wallpapers and doing some of the hallways and stuff like that off screen, so you missed some of it, but yeah, I'm just really happy about that, so thank you The Sims for that. And I think you'll see the build on the Popular Now page if you see this today, on Sunday. Hopefully this goes up today, because I'm a little bit behind schedule, but I'm hoping it will, because it's currently #1 on the Popular Now page and has over 10,000 downloads, which is crazy. So it's just all really exciting because, you know, I was saying in that build about how I nearly didn't get that build up that day because of me being a bit behind schedule. That's why that mansion build was only on a 40 by 30 lot. So to think that it turned out so well from maybe not even being able to get that build up, I'm really happy about. So yeah, I'm glad that all worked out well. Anyway, so we're just working on the master bedroom now, and actually a lot of the bedrooms that you'll see today are on a much smaller scale than usual, so I did have a bit of difficulty actually deciding on what I was going to do in the master room, because actually another thing is that a lot of the bedrooms today do also have their own ensuite bathroom, and not all of them do, but a couple of them do, so it did also make it difficult that, you know, kind of thinking, because normally how I decide on a master room is if it's like the biggest, or if it has like a fireplace, its own seating area, or if it has like a desk area as well, or an ensuite bathroom, so those kind of things play into it. So if all of the bedrooms are kind of similar in terms of features and stuff, it does make it a little bit more difficult. So it did make it a bit difficult there, but I did decide on that one for the master one. But I'm really happy how this build turned out. Let me know about what you thought of it. I've been rambling on so much today that I didn't really talk about the barn area. So the barn is pretty empty because there wasn't really much to do with it since we don't have barn animals or anything like that, but feel free to kind of decorate it or renovate it into like an actual guest room or something. That would be a nice idea. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't. You can go ahead and download this build from the gallery. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!